Hello and welcome to the next episode of Our Life. Last time we had a long day with Shiloh, who, well, basically abandoned us at the end. Oof, well, anyway. Now let's continue with the next event called Fireflies. Alright, tonight we're going to catch fireflies. At this blunt declaration from your sister, you looked up from your macaroni and cheese dinner. Fireflies were a familiar sight over summer, coming out on warm nights to dance through the sky, or I wish would be here in Germany like that. Tonight was particularly balmy, so you know there were bound to be a ton of them around. Oh, are you? You are you? They hadn't answered for sure yet, but if that's what Lizzie said you'd do, that's probably what you would end up doing. Lizzie was an expert at getting her way, having mastered the art of it by the time she could talk. Oh man, this is so different. Oh, I always had a hard time getting my will as the older sister. I always had to go along with what my little sister wanted. Mostly. Sometimes I could force my way, but only if my sister didn't make a fuss about it. That's a good idea, Lizzie. Can we, Mrs. Morn? Shiloh tapped his fork against the table excitedly. His face lightened up as he looked at Lizzie. It was unusual for Shiloh to still be here. Like always, his mom had to bring him over really early in the morning before her job started. But normally she would have picked him up by now. She called before dinner to let your moms know that she would be late. You didn't hear why, probably more work things. You thought maybe getting to hang out with Shiloh for longer is what made Lizzie want to keep running around outside. Staying at home and watching TV was never an option for her with guests over. That's why you were pretty sure she would get your moms to agree. Well, it's already so dark out there. Lizzie gave Mom the best puppy dog eyes she could, slowly spooning mac and cheese into her mouth while you waited there for their response.
There.
Let him go. Nights like this don't happen every day. Your parents exchanged a look, then Mom eventually signed and nodded back. Yes! Fine, just make sure you stay on the hill behind our house with all the puppies, okay? Duh, Mom, that's where most of them are. The idea that had only just been planted in your head, but already you could just picture all of the glowing lights spread out in front of you, like the fairies from the bedtime stories Mommy read sometimes. Lizzie and Shiloh started digging into their food, and it soon became a race to see who could finish the dinner first.
Isn't that great?
Aren't you excited to go outside and play, Rina? You gave a non-committal shrug. Raina's just mad because I always catch the most. Lizzie boasted proudly, her mouth full of food, and Mom gave her a stern look. Elizabeth? A knock on the door interrupted Mom before she could no doubt scold your sister. I get it. Your big sister jumped out of her seat and ran over to the door, pulling it open without even looking out the window to see who it was. You shifted in your seat to try and get a glimpse of the unexpected guest.
Aye.
Who would have thought? Good evening, Corva. Your mommy had already walked to the door by the time you managed to see past Shiloh's flappy hat. Corva, what are you doing here? In an instant, you'd hopped out of your seat and run over, a wide grin on your face. Carver returned with a small one of his own. Bouncing up and down on the balls of your feet, excitedly, you tugged on Mommy's sleeve, hoping she would ask him to stay. It didn't matter why he was there. It meant he could join you all in catching fireflies. Then, for a few seconds, Carver said nothing. He only stood there and looked up at your mommy with a face almost like he was considering turning around and leaving. My dad told me to drop this off, cause I guess he borrowed it from you. Carver took a familiar screwdriver from out of his large side pocket, eyes now dropped to the floor. We left ours back home when we moved. Great, thanks, bye!
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, here, why don't you come inside for a bit? Lizzie crossed her arms and lifted her chin. Carver shrugged, and Mom stood from the table too. I'll give your dad a call to let him know we got you here alright. Carver shuffled fully inside, eyes remaining on the ground. Mommy closed the door behind him. Hi, Carver! Shiloh gave Carver a friendly smile while waving by holding up his hand and opening and closing his fingers. Carver nodded in response. I guess I would just straight up ask. You could see Lizzie eyeing you for mentioning the excursion to an outsider, but she would get over it. It's a lot of fun. Carver grinned at that, and you knew he was intrigued. I can do that. I've never caught one before. It's too bad he didn't have a chance before now. The fireflies weren't out when he first moved in, and there must have not been any where he used to live. We can't go until after dinner. After she pointed this out, Lizzie walked back to the table and took her seat. There wasn't much left on her plate. Since this was very true, you decided to finish up your own stuff as well. Carver stepped closer and eyed what was on the menu for your family's meal. Have you eaten yet? Yeah, my dad and I ate earlier. What did you have? Eggs. The clipped one-word answer seemed to discourage Shiloh from asking any more questions. His eyes slowly wandered back to the last scraps of food on his plate. Your phone call with Carver's dad must have ended, cause your mom came back into the room.
Okay.
Carver, your dad said you can stay for a little while if you'd like, but he's going to come get you before it gets too much later. Sure.
Fun.
Oh, fun. This will be so nice. As you polished off the meal, you hoped it would be too. The three of you all finished eating shortly after, and Lizzie led the way outside. Remember, don't stray too far. It's fine, Mom. Shiloh trailed so closely after Lizzie, he was nearly stepping on her heels. Carver hesitated at the door. Come on, let's go. After a moment he did.
Bye.
Bye, children. The two of you were a good 10 or 15 feet behind Lizzie and Shiloh by the time you walked outside. You pushed the door shut behind you, watching the gestures get farther and farther away. You're so slow, Rina. We don't have all night. You started to run when you heard Lizzie's voice calling you, but paused when you saw Carver still walking at a relaxed pace. I would just, ask. Carver gave you a quizzical look. No, I'm still going. Then come on! You picked up the pace, feet kicking up dust as you ran behind the house. After a second, Carver started to chase after you. It didn't take long to reach the hill. You slowed down as you started to climb up, a slow grin spreading across your face at the gorgeous sight. Bright, blinking lights floated like buoys on a wave all around your little group, straying teasingly close before darting away again.
Wow.
What he said. Charlotte took a moment to come over and welcome the both of you to the hill. Hi guys! It's really great out, huh? See how many there are? Yeah. A firefly danced through the air, landing on Corvus' sea green head. I will probably quietly look on. You took a couple of steps back slowly, trying not to spook the little bug as you admired how it glowed so brightly against Corvus' hair. Corvus raised an eyebrow, giving you a confused look, and Shiloh giggled. You gestured to his head, and he reached up, making the firefly dart away. Corvus jumped, then followed after the glow. Oh look, Lizzie has one, that's amazing! Shiloh ran to the highest point of the hill, making sure not to lose his head or backpack along the way. You hummed as the group divided and conquered, shifting your gaze to the dozens of other fireflies sailing around. The game was on. I didn't really have that many scratches of my fingers. I was actually pretty good at handling sharp stuff. Never got myself hurt there, though I fell over a lot, so my knees didn't were not as lucky. Spotting one close by, you approached it with assassin-like stealth, crouching down to make yourself seem less of a threat. Slowly dragging one foot in front of the other, you crept up towards it, arms outstretched. You closed your hands around the little glowing orb, careful not to crush it. The firefly landed on your palm, almost docile, and you stared down on your prize in delight. Its tiny legs tickled your skin, and you giggled at the sensation. Cover kept up with his own target, but when you tried to grab it with his pink cast, his pink cast waved awkwardly through the air, foiling his efforts to clap his hands around the firefly. Well, Cover watched it vanish into thin air with a dissatisfied expression on his face. Let's encourage. There are plenty more fireflies, you could try again. Did you catch one? You nodded and Cover gave up his hunt for the moment, coming closer and peering at the insect still crawling across your palm. You held out your hand and he leaned closer, eyes widening a tad behind his glasses. Cover remained hypnotized by the little bug as he edged closer and closer to yours. Ultimately, he settled his fingers slightly on top of the ones you were holding open. It tingled. Staying still. The last thing you wanted was to accidentally scare the shiny treasure off. His hands are a bit big, don't you think? The fireflies, noticing the new connection, crawled up on Corvus' hand. He quietly gasped. It worked. Yeah, you got one. Corvus' lips turned up into a slow smile and his eyes shine brighter than the bug. Thanks, Rina. With a laugh, he gave the palm of your hand a small smack, performing an awkward low five. Startled by the extreme movement, the tiny light disappeared before you could even blink. Your firefly was gone. It was just a firefly. It's okay. I couldn't keep it forever.
You're right.
Right. Bugs have to stay outside. Let's get another. Collect more. We can work together. The face broke out into a wide grin. We'll get a bunch. With renewed vigor, you ran out into the hill. You're not sure how much time passed while you were in the thick of it. All you could focus on was the adventure at hand. No critter was safe from your grasp. At first, you tried to keep a tally of how many you had caught, But once the number grew higher than 10, you had no more fingers left to count with. You were having the time of your life, racing up and down the hill with the crash of the ocean and sound of everyone's laughter echoing in the background. Rina, this way! You followed the sound of Corvus' voice to the top of the hill, watching as he stretched his arms in front of him, reaching with his fingers, only narrowing, missing his target. Corvus and you took turns trying to scare Fireflies in the direction of the other. You showed him some techniques that you had learned, like how to cup your hands correctly, and he listened attentively before trying for himself. There were a few times when you almost ran into each other, giggling as you drove to the side at the last moment. Luckily, disaster was avoided each time. It was an overall huge success, with both of you catching multiple fireflies each. Eventually, the fireflies began to thin out, and your energy started to lapse. You decided it was time to call off the hunt. Corvus didn't complain. He breathed in heavily, and his face seemed really flushed. That was fun, a lot of fun. You smiled at him broadly, happy that he had joined the activity. Yeah, it was.
Come on!
Rina, Corvus, get up here, we're gonna have a race. The shouting caught you off guard. It had been quite a while since you heard from Lizzie or Shiloh. You glanced over to see them both standing on top of the hill again, Lizzie beckoning to you with a quick hand gestures. If she was like that, you know there was much room for disagreement. Up the incline you went. From the corner of your eye you saw Corvus was coming as well. He didn't care for Lizzie a lot, so you thought he might be intrigued just by the idea of a race. Hi.
Go!
Hi, Corvus. You can roll down the hill. You could hurt your arm again, you'll be the referee for the rest of us. As Lizzie pointed this out, Corvus froze in place. Oh, it was that kind of race. He frowned down at his cast. That was the second time I got in the way tonight. What? Yeah, you'll watch and see who gets to the bottom first. That's important, got it?
I guess.
The cast was sturdy. If he was careful, he could have done it. Lizzie might have been just looking for a reason to make someone else a referee, but it was already decided. I was never a fan of singling out people like that in a way. Especially not when it was a friend of mine. I would probably just like, fuck your game, I'm staying with my friend. Why? Really? You don't have to. It's okay, I want to watch. You moved beside him on the top of the hill, even though Lizzie eyed you made a face. That's not how races work, you only need one referee. Shrugging your shoulders, you refused to budge, and Lizzie let out a huff before throwing her hands in the air. Fine, I'll be the winner whether you join or not. Lizzie moved to lay down, and Shiloh did the same. Corvus stood slightly to the side to get a better vantage point, and you stood next to him. Count down! Corvus stood up a little straighter. It seems he was taking his newfound referee duties seriously. 3, 2, 1, go! Lizzie and Shiloh took off, letting gravity do the work and rolling at high speed towards the bottom of the hill. You and Corvus leaned forward to watch them go, eyes peeled for which of the two would reach the bottom first. They were both neck to neck, until about halfway down the hill. Lizzie started to veer off to the side, giving Shiloh a huge advantage. She obviously hadn't noticed a thing, and as soon as Shiloh reached the bottom of the hill, he jumped excitedly and threw his hands into the air. I won! Almost immediately he fell back onto the grass, still steady from his roll down the hill. Lizzie stomped out of the bush she had ended up in, spluttering angrily and brushing leaves from the front of her dress. Not bad, you got lucky. Let's do it again and see who wins for real. Kids, it's time to come in. No! You snickered, feeling grateful that you hadn't been part of the mini debacle. You caught Cover's eyes and saw that he was doing the same. It had gotten late and was beginning to feel just a bit chilly as you made your way out of the hills, but the cold in the air hadn't dampened anyone's spirits. The four of you walked back home together side by side down your neighborhood street, discussing the evening with each person trying to prove that they were the one who caught the most fireflies. You knew that whoever really did catch the most didn't matter much anyway. All that mattered was that all you had was a good time, which, judging by the smiles on everyone's faces, you did. That was a shorter one. Okay, then let's continue on with Grown Up. One sweltering summer day, you were in your living room with Cole, listening to the sounds of the birds chatting. Sounds wrong. Outside of the window, where you lay across the rock on the floor. Cole's dad had dropped him off earlier, and your moms had left the two of you along with Lizzie to play among yourselves. It had been too hot to go outside in the afternoon, at least according to Mummy, so your sister was starting to get impatient waiting for her golf class that evening. Golf class is a thing that exists? The three of you had trouble finding something fun to do. The beach and the playground were off limits, and you felt it was too warm for anything like playing with your fuzzy toy animals. Then suddenly a light came to Lizzie's big brown eyes, and a smile spread right across her face. Having an idea gave her a new wave of energy. Since we're stuck inside, we should be adults. They don't play outdoors anyway. They're always inside and telling everybody they're too busy to play.
Why?
Indeed. I said why. It'd be fun, duh. What do they do inside that we don't? Besides, use the phone a lot? Excluding a small huff, Lizzie decides to ignore Corville.
What do you think?
Lena, what do you think? What do you want to? I would be like, I don't know. What would you even do? I was never the type to like playing with Barbies and all that stuff anyway. I also didn't like playing house. I didn't like doing any of that. Though I must say, if I played with others with Barbie dolls and stuff, they sure had some very interesting plot lines they came up with. Holy moly. Even soap operas wish they had that kind of creativity and drama than the Barbie dolls we had back then, it seems. And in there was always my Barbie doll who wanted nothing more than just be happy alone with her cats. And all the drama. So much drama occurred, just despite of everything. Good lord. I tried my best to just not to get involved with what the others had planned. So much love drama, and no one wanted to play any of the Ken dolls, so... Please, Rina, when have I ever had a bad idea? Whenever we play with you. I wasn't asking you. Okay. I hope this is as fun as you're promising it will be. Lizzie looked at you deadly serious. It's the most exciting idea I had all week. Satisfied that neither of you were about to bail on her, Lizzie thought over her options while you watched. A few seconds she clapped her hands together and beamed, apparently having settled on something without asking either of you. I have a bad feeling.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a bad feeling. Okay, I'm gonna be a professional golfer. Raina, you and Carver can be a beach volleyball player and a gymnast or a tennis player. Why can't we pick anything we want? Because I have a fun idea, that's why. And we have to play sports as adults? Yep. But there's other kinds of sports too.
Right?
It isn't the same. What do you think, Raina? Don't those choices sound super cool? You wanna be that, huh? Yeah, whatever. Wasn't really up to it anyway, so whatever. Lizzie apparently not expecting you to agree after Corvus' refusal, practically lit up. Really? Which one are you gonna pick, Raina? Cole was not impressed with Lizzie's attitude, though he didn't bother talking more about it for now. He thought over the list of possibilities: beach volleyball, gymnast, or tennis. Out of all of them, you prefer to play tennis. You remember that Mommy had a couple of old tennis rackets lying around somewhere, but you forgot where you had last seen them. You could check the attic for them, although Lizzie probably wouldn't let you run off and do that now that she had you here. Yes, that was clearly the top option. I want to be a tennis player.
All right.
How about you, Cover? I pick volleyball. I should have known. Okay, so Reina, you're a famous tennis player, and Corve, you're on a popular beach volleyball team. And Lizzie's ponytail bobbed as she proudly stretched her arms wide. We're Olympic athletes who just competed in the Olympics. Corve didn't seem all that impressed with the announcement. He made a face and adjusted the glasses on his nose. That's really specific.
Rude.
That's what makes it fun anyway. Lizzie marched back and forth in front of the two of you, getting lost in her own imagination. I won all the gold medals and people are calling me the next Mikey White. I don't know who that is. Who's that? Lizzie stopped on the spot, turned on him, her brown eyes shining with impatience. It doesn't matter if you know who she is, it's a golf thing. You guys won medals too. Cover, your team was bronze, and Raina, you barely missed out on the gold and got silver. It's more real if we're not all first place, but you are first place. I would just be like, yeah, whatever you were saying. You stayed silent and looked at your hands. Next to you, Cover leaned towards Lizzie with a frown.
Sorry.
Lots of people lose at the Olympics, them's the breaks. Then you're the one who did, not me. Lizzie looked taken aback by Cover's declaration, as though the thought of her losing was completely absurd. No way, it wouldn't make sense. I'm already practicing my golf game. She took a golfing stance to make a point, pretending to swing her club and hit an invisible ball. So, what kind of house do you want to live in? Cover hadn't changed his mind about winning, but thinking about where he would live as an adult appealed to him. Apparently because he looked back at Lizzie with some of the anger fading. I'm going to live on the beach. Lizzie made a face at him, poking out her tongue. That's kinda boring, we already have that. No, not like the normal houses here with a street. On it, right on the sand, by the water. Just like that, all the tension was back. You hadn't even had a chance to choose where you would wanna live. That's not very fun or smart, Cover. You can't live on a beach of sand and shells. But I want to, so I will. Cover narrowed his eyes at Lizzie, even though she stood half a head taller than him. You didn't give out a list of things to pick from this time, so I'm picking that. Why are we even playing pretend if we can't imagine anything? Jeez, well, I'm going to live in a mansion far away from here, far away from you. One with an indoor pool and a place to practice my award-winning golfing. I realize I know absolutely nothing about golfing. Mini golf is good. All else, meh.
It's not fair.
How come you were yelling about mine when your idea is even more impossible? Lizzie's face flushed red, her hands balling into fists at her side. It's not impossible, and it's better than yours. Disagreements always seem to crop up when the two of them were together, and you always felt like you were stuck in the middle. But when it came to the topic at hand, this time you thought... I mean... meh. Corv's idea is good. You shouldn't say yours is the only right one. No one asked for your opinion. He smiled slightly over the agreement, then turned to Lizzie with bolstered confidence. You can swim whenever you want if you live on the beach. We can still swim anytime we want from where we live now. Being a little closer doesn't mean anything. Says you. The two of them scowled at each other. You're being so unreasonable. You... I don't get what you want. This game doesn't make sense. It does. You have to be realistic. I said that. But you're not. You had no idea what to do to make them stop at this point. It seemed like the two of them would just keep working each other up as long as they could. Nothing you said so far had kept him from being mad. Thankfully, like a greeting card angel, Mom walked into the room. Lizzie rushed to her, hanging onto the hem of her shirt and poking out her tongue at Cora. Lizzie, Rina, it's time to get ready to go. Sorry, you have to leave already, Corvin. The mommy said she'll walk you home, so you won't be left in the cold. Corvin was still glaring at Lizzie, his face flushed red with anger. I can go by myself, but... Bye, Rina. There was still a harsh edge to the brief farewell, but you knew it wasn't you he was mad at. Without giving Mom a chance to stop him, Corvin stood up and walked out of the room, shoulders drawn tight. Okay. Worried, Mom looked down at you and Lizzie. You two were playing nice with our new friend, weren't you? I'm the little sister now. I get to throw the older sister under the bus for for once. No, Lizzie and Corvin kept yelling at each other. They wouldn't stop fighting about everything. Your sister's jaw dropped, looking betrayed, and Mom put both sides on her hips. Elizabeth, I told you to be kind to him. He's having a hard time right now. Lizzie's mouth closed back up, replaced by a tiny frown. I know, I tried, but he was...
That's enough.
No buts. We know you can show someone a great time when you put your mind to it. We are going to apologize to Corvin instead over the phone when he gets home from work tonight. Lizzie hung her head, dragging her foot across the ground in front of her. Okay, Mom. Good girl. You caught pieces of Lizzie sulking to herself about how it was his fault too, but it was over. Ah, wait, we better get a move on. Let's go, kids. Noelani, where did you leave the car keys? Mom hustled you all out of the door, and you noticed during the car ride to golf practice that Lizzie was quieter than usual. She was usually the first one to request which music to listen to in the car, but she didn't say a thing. Your parents noticed she wasn't in a mood to be bothered. They gave her space, and Mom asked you what you would like to listen to. Gotta take the chance and get your own song in there. Eventually Lizzie came around and started singing along with you. You both knew all the words, and your moms even sang along too. When the car ride was over, you spent the twilight hours watching Lizzie hit things with other girls her age. You didn't know much about golf, but you could tell that you really liked it. So you sat with your moms and tried to puzzle it out. It was nice sitting outside after being cooped up in the house all day, and you stretched out your legs to let the last few minutes of sun warm your skin. When the sun was finally out of sight, dripping behind the horizon, you all got ready to leave. Instead of going straight home, your moms took the family out to dinner. You went to a restaurant you all had been going to ever since you could remember. The whole afternoon had been a bunch of shouting. You hadn't been able to stop, but you could kind of tell that all this helped Lizzie to be less angry. The car ride home was quiet, with only the radio providing escape from silence. Lizzie had been in better spirits now, but the closer you got to your neighborhood, the more she wiggled in the seat and frowned out of the window. She knew what was coming when you all got back home. Clearly she was dreading it. Soon enough, Mom was turning to your street, then reversing into the driveway. Once she cut the ignition, it was dead silent. No one spoke, only unbuckled their seatbelts and opened the doors. Lizzie was the last one out. Once everyone was inside, and done taking off their shoes, she propped up her hands on her hips.
So,
Now then, Mr. Holden's car is in its driveway, so he should be back from work. That's good news, isn't it, Elizabeth? You and Cover can hash things out before the day's done. Lizzie didn't complain or put up a fight. Her head ducked so she didn't have to meet anyone's eyes. She nodded once. Good. Let's move this to the kitchen. Mom went over to the house phone. The rest of you followed behind her. Mommy put a gentle hand on Lizzie's shoulder as they walked side by side. You watched them from the back. This was only happening because you told on Lizzie. I mean, like, she's not going to learn. So I had to. Being a tattletale didn't feel good, and you wouldn't want someone else to tell your moms everything you did. Still, your moms had asked directly, and you wanted to be a liar even less. The four of you stood around the kitchen in the loop-sided square. All eyes were on Lizzie, who kept her eyes on her feet. You remember the number for Carver's house, don't you, honey? Lizzie perked her head in another nod, sullen. Without further prompting, she stepped forward and began to dial. Mom reached over and pressed a button on the base. Suddenly you could hear the phone ringing. She turned on the speaker. The phone rang a couple of times, then stopped. Mr. Holden's warm voice rang through the other end. Evening, Holden residence. Lizzie looked over at Mommy, unsure. She nodded encouragingly. Hi, Mr. Holden. It's, Lizzie. Can I talk to Carver?
Absolutely.
Lizzie Moon? What a surprise. But of course you can say hey to the boy. He sounded cheery as usual, though definitely meant it when he said it was a surprise. You thought hard, and you were sure that your sister had never called Carver's house before. Mom spoke up before Mr. Holden or Lizzie could say anything more. Her arms were crossed over her chest, her lips pursed. Hi, Cliff. Noelani, Rina and I are here too. Good evening. We're sorry to bother you so late. I'll probably just stay silent. I never liked talking over the phone. You shifted from one foot to the other, but remained where you were. The gang's all here, huh? Something the matter? They're making kind of a big deal out of this though. His voice grew a bit concerned. Mommy was quick to reassure him. No, well, yes, but it's going to be okay. Lizzie and Carver got a bit in a fight today. We were hoping that the two of them could talk and make up. This is a good time for you and Carver?
What?
A fight? Carver didn't tell me anything about it when I came home. It does explain the funk he's been in tonight. He chuckled lightly, despite that it didn't seem like he really thought it was funny. Anyway, it's good you didn't catch us at a bad time. I'll go grab him for you. There was some shuffling on the other end. He must not have gone far because you could still hear him calling out. Corvo, there's someone on the phone for you. After a beat of silence, there was more muffled talking from Corvo's dad. Come on, bud. Lizzie called just so she could talk to you.
Are you sure?
Raina's on the other side listening too, don't you want to say hi? It took a bit of back and forth, though this conversation seemed one-sided since you couldn't hear Corvo properly. Eventually, Corvo took the phone from his dad.
Hi.
Hello? You opened your mouth, only for Mommy to catch your eye and shake your head. Softly, you frowned, but you didn't say anything. Hey, it's Lizzie. Yeah, I know, Dad told me. Corvo's tone was defensive. Lizzie turned to Mom, scowling. One stern look from her though, and Lizzie turned away.
Sorry.
I just called to say I'm sorry for not playing nice with you today. I won't do it again. Lizzie's eyes were downcast, her voice low. You could tell. Yeah, you could tell. She felt uncomfortable apologizing to Corvo in front of everyone. Why would you make her apologize in front of everyone? She was still being genuine about feeling bad. Corvo must have realized that too, because he sighed quietly. I want gold, and I think Rina should win too. Really? I thought you were worth gold even though you hadn't even wanted it? Lizzie was momentarily stunned silent by the demand. She probably forgot that had even happened already. Alright, we all win the gold. Okay, I guess I'm sorry too. A sense of relief washed over everyone at his acceptance of the apology. Mom uncrossed her arms while Mommy's shoulders relaxed. Lizzie's eyebrows raised up. You wondered if she thought that he would refuse her apology. Dad, can I get off the phone now? You couldn't see him, but it was obvious that Corvo felt awkward about the situation. He had come off uncomfortable the entire time, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go back to your room if you want. Be sure to say goodbye first though. Bye Lizzie. Bye.
Bye.
Bye Rina. You perked up at the mention of your name. You smiled, even if you couldn't see it. Bye, Corvo. With that said, Corvo must have handed the phone to his dad and left. Since Mr. Holden spoke up,
That's a relief.
all's well that ends well, as they say. Thanks for arranging this, I'm sure he appreciates it. As Mom replied, Lizzie tugged on Mommy's hand to catch her attention. Can I go now too?
Good job.
Sure, sweetie. Thank you very much for apologizing to Corvo. Mom flashed a brief smile at Lizzie and nodded her agreement. Given permission to leave, Lizzie scurried off towards the stairs. She seemed to be feeling much better with the incident behind her. Mom and Mommy returned to the phone, taking it off the speaker. They continued talking to Mr. Holden. You couldn't tell about what. You were glad that was the end of it all. Lizzie and Corvo might not get along, and probably still won't, but they weren't mad at each other anymore. Mom and Mommy weren't upset either. Everything was finally back to normal. With that thought, you retreated to your own room with a spring in your step. So, and that was the end of step 1. So yeah, the next time we will then go on to see how the, I think, teenager phase? Yeah, I think next is the teenager phase. Then we'll see how it goes starting as teenagers then. Alright, then until then, bye!